Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meeting House of Provincetown, where we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and where we support each other in our spiritual search for truth and meaning. My name is Reverend Kate Wilkinson, and I am so glad that you are joining us this week. Our service this morning is entitled Finding Gratitude. As we approach the Thanksgiving holiday during what has turned out to be a most difficult year, we are perhaps not as filled with the Spirit as we usually are at this time. Surely it will be a very different Thanksgiving than we are used to. And of course, Thanksgiving is a complicated holiday to begin with, right? This year, on the 400th anniversary of the Pilgrim's Landing, our Unitarian Universalist denomination has committed to pay special attention to learning our history and rethinking Thanksgiving in the year 2020. We recognize that the history we learned in school is not accurate. The real history of Thanksgiving has a backdrop of disease and conquest and war through many generations. We know that the Pilgrims were able to settle and survive and farm and harvest in Plymouth because the native people who usually lived there had been wiped out by a plague. It's true that in 1621, the Pilgrims celebrated their first harvest with a 3-day feast, and that there were around 90 Wampanoag people at the celebration, although it's not clear that they were intentionally invited. It was an incredible cross-cultural moment with food and games and prayer, but soon after, the deadly conflicts between the settlers and the native tribes escalated. We know that our Wampanoag neighbors do not celebrate Thanksgiving, but instead honor a day of mourning. We know that Thanksgiving was made an official holiday in 1863 during the Civil War, a time of great divide within this country. We also know that harvest festivals and rituals of gratitude have been celebrated by Native American, European, and other cultures around the world for centuries, long before Thanksgiving was declared a holiday here. So yes, Thanksgiving has always been complicated. And still, it is my favorite holiday. It is my favorite because it's not about presents, it's about the bounty of the earth. It's not about a biblical story, it's about our story as a nation, the good and the bad. It's not about one nuclear family, it's about family in the most expansive sense, about chosen family and friends and community, about making sure everyone has some place to go. It's about squeezing in one more place at the table. And it's about finding gratitude during hardship. That's what that first Thanksgiving was, and that's what it was in 1863. And that's what it is today. We don't get to gather with our extended families or our large groups of friends this year. We don't get to share food in the same way or travel to be with those we love. But we still get to find gratitude. I learned this year about Sarah Hale, who made it her personal mission to get a National Day of Thanksgiving declared in the United States. For decades, she wrote and wrote and wrote to U.S. presidents who all ignored her until, in the midst of the Civil War, Lincoln responded with his Thanksgiving Proclamation. Years before that, in 1847, Sarah Hale wrote, "Would that the next Thanksgiving might be observed in all the states on the same day. Then, though members of the same family might be too far separated to meet around one festive board, they would have the gratification of knowing that all were enjoying the blessings of the day." This year, as you set the table for your Thanksgiving meal, even if you are dining alone, especially if you are dining alone, I invite you to set an extra place for gratitude. Make it a special place setting, decorated with bittersweet vine or a candle to light in honor of those you wish could be there. Lay it out slowly and with intention as you contemplate the many blessings of the day, as you reach for and find gratitude. And now, as I light our chalice here at the meeting house, I invite you to light a candle wherever you are. Just like those Civil War families, may it give us the gratification of knowing that though we are not in the same space, we are all lighting a candle together and worshiping together.
Praise Song by Barbara Crooker. Praise the light of late November, the thin sunlight that goes deep in the bones. Praise the crows chattering in the oak trees. Though they are clothed in night, they do not despair. Praise what little there's left. The small boats of milkweed pods, husks, hulls, shells, the architecture of trees. Praise the meadow of dried weeds, yarrow, goldenrod, chicory, the remains of summer. Praise the blue sky that hasn't cracked yet. Praise the sun slipping down behind the beechnuts. Praise the quilt of leaves that covers the grass. Scarlet oak, sweet gum, sugar maple. Though darkness gathers, praise our crazy fallen world. It's all we have, and it's never enough.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for gathered here and as far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for gathered here and as far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Love is the spirit of this meeting house. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Shall I read to you from my new book? The Lost Words. Acorn. As flake is to blizzard, as curve is to sphere, as knot is to net, as one is to many, as coin is to money, as bird is to flock, as rock is to mountain, as drop is to fountain, as spring is to river, as glint is to glitter, as near is to far, as wind is to weather, as feather is to flight, as light is to star, as kindness is to good, so acorn is to wood. When I was little, I think I spent more time outdoors than in. My parents and my sister taught me the names of all the flowers growing in our yard. They taught me which berries and flowers were edible and which ones to stay away from. We built forts with the neighborhood kids, my favorite of which had a sturdy second floor formed out of branches and woven reeds. Below, you could play for hours, even in the rain. When the neighbors cut down the trees between our houses, we cried. It was easier then, of course, to be sent outdoors to play. There were no computers, no iPhones, no Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. In my house, we didn't even have a television, although that was not the norm. But even for my friends with televisions, there were certainly not this many channels. There was not always something on. I'm glad I grew up when I did, before the world for children became so much more complicated. When the most recent edition of the Oxford Junior Dictionary was published, an observant reader soon noticed that around 40 common words concerning nature had been dropped out of the book, which is widely used in schools around the world. The words were no longer being used enough by children to merit their place in the dictionary. The list of these lost words included acorn, bluebell, dandelion, fern, heron, kingfisher, otter, and willow. Among the words taking their place were attachment, blog, broadband, bullet point, cut and paste, and voicemail. The news of these substitutions, the outdoor and natural being displaced by the indoor and virtual, became seen by many as a powerful sign of the growing gulf between childhood and the natural world. In response, Robert McFarland and Jackie Morrison set out to make a spell book that would conjure back 20 of these lost words and the beings they name, from acorn to wren. By the magic of word and paint, they sought to summon these words again into the voices, stories, and dreams of children and adults alike, and to celebrate the wonder and importance of everyday nature. Robert and Jackie say that this book is part of a movement to re-wild childhood. Deeply moved by the Lost Words spell book, the Folk by the Oak Festival commissioned 8 musicians to create spell songs using the words and ideas in the book. They chose musicians whose work was deeply connected to landscape and nature, to sing nature back to life through the power of music, poetry, art, and magic. Their final song is called The Lost Words Blessing, and its form is inspired by blessings and incantations in Scottish Gaelic. Enter the wild with care, my love, and speak the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow. And even as you travel far from heather, crag, and river, may you, like the little fisher, set the stream alight with glitter. May you enter now as otter without falter into water. Look to the sky with care, my love, and speak the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow. And even as you journey on, past dying stars exploding, like the gilded one in flight, leave your little gifts of light. And in the dead of night, my darling, find the gleaming eye of starling. Like the little aviator, sing your heart to all dark matter. Walk through the world with care, my love, and sing the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow. And even as you stumble through mohair sands eroding, let the fern unfurl your grieving. Let the heron still your breathing. Let the selkie swim you deeper, be the singer and the speaker. And in city and in forest, let the larks become your chorus. And when every hope is gone, let the raven call you home. Is it possible to re-wild childhood? Is it possible to keep lost words alive? Is it possible to speak the things we see? Is it possible to let our grieving unfurl like a fern? Is it possible to still our breathing at the sight of a heron? Is it possible to leave one another little gifts of light? Is it possible to find gratitude, even as the hour grows bleaker? I believe it is. When we gather in religious community, we are, in essence, singing spells that name and keep alive the things we care about. We are passing them on to the next generation. We are reminding ourselves over and over again of the possibilities of a gentler, more connected life. Walk through the world with care, my loves, and sing the things you see. May it be so. Blessed be, and happy Thanksgiving.
Enter the wild with care, my love, and speak the things you see. Let new names take in root and thrive and grow. And even as you travel far from heather, crag, and river, may you, like the little fisher, set the stream alight with glitter. May you enter now as otter, without falter into water. Look to the sky with care, my love, and speak the things you see. Let new names take in root and thrive and grow. And even as you journey on, past dying stars exploding, like the gilded one in flight, leave your little gifts of light. And in the dead of night, my darling, find the gleaming eye of starling, like the little aviator. Sing your heart to all dark matter. Walk through the world with care, my love, and sing the things you see. Let new names take in root and thrive and grow. And even as you stumble through mocker sands eroding, let the fern unfurl you grieving. Let the heron still your breathing. Let the silky swim you